Hello there. Oh my goodness. So good to be here with you today. Um, talk about owning the space you're in. And this conversation is definitely for women and even more particularly black women as we walk this line between moving from Black History Month to Women's History Month. And since I cover both of those spaces, I feel like I need to be able to share and have a conversation about what it looks to walk in both of those spaces and what it looks like to own the space you're in, even when you're not sure, even when you're not sure yet. Like that's it. Even when you're not sure. Um, there's just been so much going on in the world, and the reminders that women we really do have so much more power than we give ourselves credit for. All my life, especially after I had kids, I've always been like, women birth people into the world. And that is something that men can never experience or understand what that does, like literally physically, emotionally, spiritually. Like it is a very powerful thing. And it makes us unique. I mean, that alone makes us unique. And here's the thing, you don't have to birth children. I'm not saying, no one should ever quote me as saying that having children is women's greatest power or something like that. It's the fact that you can, right? So even and then if you have the choice not to, whether you should or not, right? Those are all things that we as women, these are decisions we get to make and that impact us tremendously throughout the rest of our lives, whether we have children or not. If we don't have children, we get criticized. If we have children, we get criticized, for having them and not, quote, taking care of them in a conventional wisdom way, In other words, going to work, because there are still people who think, oh, women shouldn't be working if you have kids and all that baloney. And was like, well, you know, some of y'all like that two income money, but that's a whole different story. And if it seems like I'm feeling a little feisty today, it is. I am. I am. Because there's just so much. And it's the reminder of when I've been upset with myself and learning to walk that back. But when I've been upset with myself for not stepping into my own power as a woman as much as I could have or should have, right? And so there's got to be that ongoing, self forgiveness or even just self awareness, because sometimes we may not have recognized when we had that opportunity or power to do something, to say something more forcefully and more impactfully than we did. Then there are times when we absolutely recognize that. And then there's the guilt and the shame for what we didn't do. And I'm here to say, you know what? Wipe all that stuff, wipe the slate clean, because we can't stay in the past. You can't get to your destiny and what's waiting for you ahead if you are still shaming yourself about what happened in the past. And when I say that, I'm speaking this as a woman who has engaged in this behavior. So I'm not just, quote, preaching, to people to go do something that I haven't experienced myself. And that I don't, that in some ways still working that journey, because undoing a lot of that thinking is really, um, it's challenging work, and it takes time to realize that, you know what, I was being held back. Sometimes by people out there, a lot of times by myself in here. And now it's time to step up to a plate and, um, what is it? Play ball, as they say. I don't even like baseball, y'all. I don't know where that analogy came from. But seriously, owning who you are in this moment is so important and so valuable, because when you do it in terms of history and look at it in terms of legacy making and what someone will say your contributions to the world were, because someday, somewhere down the line, someone will ask that question. My question to you today is, what are you doing to live up to what that legacy should look like, or what you want it to look like? And that means living in the present and taking action in the present and being more powerful than sometimes we feel confident to be, to stepping out and being courageous, speaking up, pursuing ideas, pursuing opportunities, lifting other people up, and for sure, lifting ourselves to a level that allows us to feed into the lives and the souls of others. For me, that's what matters, right? That's what matters. And to do so without detriment to yourself in the process. Now that's the kicker right there. That is the kicker, because so often we as women, we will do all of the things, we'll do all the lifting and the supporting and all of that, and then leave ourselves as a shell because we've taken everything out of ourselves and given it to someone else. And I am very much in a space right now, having, I won't say, I was about to say having rebuilt from that, but I would say in the process of rebuilding from that, to say that it is so important to hold some back for you. And that sounds selfish. There will be people like, oh, that's so selfish. No, it's called self preservation, not selfishness, self preservation. Because the reality is, there are people out there are bosses out there are just folks in your family. It doesn't matter, close to home or outside of it. There are people who will absolutely drain every drop from you that they can get if you let them. And if that leaves you as an empty shell, they'll be like, oh, well, I don't know what her problem was. She probably shouldn't have been doing that all to begin with. Like, they will literally criticize you for having given yourself to them and then leave you on the floor and talk about you for having done it. Wow. And I'm not talking about what I think or whatever. I'm talking about what I know, what I've seen happen. And I want to say, for those coming up behind, you don't have to live that way. It does not have to be that result outcome for you. And for those in the midst of it, you can turn, things around 180, 360 right now today. And for those who have lived past it, it's acknowledge it, and now let's move forward with a fresh agenda. That's really what I want to say. Like, moving forward with a fresh agenda for yourself. Own who you are right now today. And when I say that, that means you get to own all that greatness that you built up, and that's the foundation upon which you stand right now. All of the things, all of the flaws, all of the nuances, all of the fantastic things that led you to this moment, all of the hurts and challenges that led you to this moment, all of it has created the strength that you have, the resiliency that you've exhibited, and the grace that you have given. And now it's time to stand up, stand up on that and move forward with a fresh outtake, one that lets people know that I'm not perfect, but I am quite sure that I know what I'm doing. And if I don't, I will figure it out. And if you want me to be a part of your life, your organization, your leadership team, then you have to give me the respect that I am due. And I know for some people, you're like, that, you just going all off. Yes, I am. Because at some point in time in your life or career, you're going to need to come back to this. So save this video. You're going to need to come back to it because you're going to be like, I need a little kick in the butt. Maybe not a little one, but a big one to remind me that I can actually do this. When there were so many things I never even imagined would be a part of my journey, even though I knew what my desire was. So, my desire always, since I was 11 years old, was to 10, 11, whatever. But I wanted to be a lawyer. I had no role models for that. My rationale for it was I wanted to be able to speak up for people. I had no idea that that meant being, that there was a term called being an advocate or advocacy and all of that. Didn't know, but I knew that if I was a lawyer, I could speak up and help people in a different way. And so that's what I went after. I always knew I was going to go to law school. I had nobody, my immediate family had never even been to graduate from college at that point in time. Folks after me since then, it has happened. But prior to that, it was one uncle who was distant, and we didn't have a close relationship. So that was not my role model for this. My role model was in other people in my community, in my church, where they valued education and helping you, decide if you wanted to go after and do something, then let's go get it. And that's what I had. And so through the difficulties of undergrad, that's its own story. It requires a glass of wine, not a glass of tea. You know, Going through undergrad, those ups and downs, graduating, getting to law school, not even with my first choice, far from it, but getting to that law school because someone who loved and believed in me said, you should apply to this school also. And I did it, not because I had chosen it, but because they had. And that's the one that I ended up going to, meeting some fabulous people that are lifelong friends, making it through that and graduating and achieving that goal. But there were so many ups and downs. And one of those situations that I will never forget, it is always a part of my story, was after completing the first year of law school. Things were not good. It was not good. It was rough. My grades were shot to hell. I was barely hanging on. And I remember getting called in, oh my gosh, to the dean of students' office, who was basically coming, wanted to tell me that all of these other little side projects I had of being in leadership, in different organizations, the things that fed my soul, mind you, you know, but that I couldn't do that I needed to focus on my schooling. And so as a result, they basically were forbidding me from being in some leadership positions in uh, at the law school at the time till everything was all solid. This is the start. So this is after first year and now it's going into the beginning of second year of law school. And I'm sitting in that man's office where he's telling me everything that I cannot do. And I will never forget The words that I said in response, which was, respectfully, Dean, it's your job to tell me what I cannot do. It's my job to tell you what I can. Oh my gosh. What is it, 30 years later? So many years later. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm still dumbfounded that I didn't get like punished for mouthing off to the dean, but to the dean of students. But I did, and I wasn't doing it to be sassy mouth or whatever. It was a declaration that I realized has undergirded me from even before that time to now. The world can tell you all the things that you are not capable of doing because they don't think you have the brains. They don't think you look the right way. They don't think you have enough money. You don't have whatever they've decided you need to have in order to accomplish what it is you want to accomplish. And it's your job to tell them respectfully, I did. And so, yes, I had to go by their rules. Things got straightened out, and I went right back to doing those things that I really felt strongly about: being an advocate, being in leadership, being in organizations that ultimately I ended up representing the law school at competitions, at a national competition where we won. So where we placed all of these things because in at the bottom line, you got to believe in yourself. People are going to tell you that you cannot. And you have to say, that's your opinion, but I can. And then that's it. Like, there doesn't need to be a whole bunch more words. You don't need to get all in your feelings about it. You can be angry and upset that they talk to you that way, but then you just go handle your business. Because when I look back at that now, I'm like, that's what I did. I was upset. And I was like, that's fine. Okay, let me go do what I need to do. And I did. And I graduated. And I passed the bar on the first try in a different state. I went to law school in California. I came back to Texas to take the bar first time. These are the things we have to remind ourselves. What is that point? What are those situations? What are those touch points where you were faced with difficulties or challenges or, you know, a lack of support, and you just have to own your space? And they're like, that's fine. You can believe that, but I know this to be true. And that fortitude undergirded me in ways that I can see now throughout my career. Throughout my career, when folks were like, well, you can't do that. Well, yeah, actually, I can. Well, you don't have the wherewithal to do X, or we don't like that you're doing this here. And why is your boss supporting you like this? We don't think you should even be in this position. Ooh, that's a whole other conversation. But here's the thing, the reality is that I could, I did, and so can you. Period. Not cocky, not flamboyant. I busted my butt to do the things that I accomplished. And as life will go off course and beat you down in some ways, like even having to come back and remember, you know what? Like all of these things that seem little now that I take care of, like that's because of a skill set and experience that I earned and built upon from years ago. Some of this stuff now I can do in my sleep. And I don't want to do it in my sleep. I want to be active, to be more engaged, which means it's time to take it to another level. And if I'm going to take it to another level, then we got to get right, own the space that I am in now, knowing that moving to the next level, I can own that as well. Because it's not my first rodeo. It's not the first time I've done this. It may be the first time I've done it in a certain realm or experience, but I have pushed forward into new spaces before. Been doing it my entire life. And I am so sure that I am not the only woman out there who can say that. Because whatever it is you're dealing with, more than likely, you're not the first to experience it. You're not the first in your family, but it's the first for you to experience the way that you are. Does that make sense? That's what makes us unique. Our experiences are not exactly the same, but we can learn from them. We can support each other with them, and we can lift up, right? And so as we face these times where if you don't recognize this, we're probably not on the same page on some other things. So you probably don't want to listen to me anymore. But this is a time where women are under attack for being women. Like we're literally under attack by the folks who we birthed and or the folks that there are some other women who bought into it. It's very sad. It's very, very sad. But that doesn't mean that the window of hope has closed. It has not. The door has not closed. There's still windows, there's still doors to be opened. Go open your window, go open your door, whatever that might be. I'm currently on a new journey or refreshed journey, I will say, for myself, professionally. But there's still things that are at my heart: advocacy, empowering women, empowering young girls, giving rise to folks and things that deserve to have a voice, making sure that people have a sound education, have access to it, so that they too can dream a dream and see it achieved and make a little history of their own. We all have a little history making in us. What's it going to be for you? I think I will end that there. That's really it. We all have a little history making in us. What is it going to be for you? I hope that that you will hit the like and thumbs up button, subscribe, and share this out to as many people as you can think of, especially a woman, young or not so young, who needs a little bump of courage today. Because that's what I really hope that this video is a bump of courage for uh, for you and someone else, and to help you remember that whatever it is you're going through, whatever challenges you face, whatever opportunities, that you are worth celebrating throughout them all. So freely, openly celebrate who you are, own the space that you're in right now today as you build towards whatever it is you have in your dreams for tomorrow. Take care. Talk soon.